Good morning. Okay, so today is Wednesday. Again, as you are waiting, go ahead and go to the extra practice in the back and just start working on that. It's all over setting up proportions, why cross multiplying works, because when you cross multiply, you are creating an equation and then you solve it by dividing. So, our first problem today, if you will read it silently first, and feel free to pause the video at any time that you need to read it all out loud together. Russell has a collection of blank pennies. Of these pennies, blank percent are dated before 1980, blank percent are dated from 1980 to 2000, that should say 2000, and the rest are dated after 2000. How many pennies in this collection are dated after 2000? So, to understand the problem, write down any information that you know from solving this. One of the things that I always encourage my students to do is to get your brain, your mindset into that problem, right? We're thinking about a collection of pennies. So, I want you to, in your mind, see a collection of pennies out in front of you. So as you're imagining that collection of pennies, try to kind of group those. Okay, we have some that are before 1980, some between 1980 and 2000, and some that are newer than 2000. They're dated after 2000. You also want to start kind of coming up with a plan. So as we are coming up with that plan, let's look at our actual numbers here. Okay, we now know that our entire collection has 1,200 pennies. 25% of those are dated before 1980. There's a few different ways that we could set this up, right? We know that when we're working with percentages, percents are out of 100. Okay, so all right, so what I did, I actually moved over our work to Jamboard so that I could write on it. If you have 1,200 pennies and you're trying to figure out what the amount would represent 25%, let's just kind of review what that would look like as a proportion. When we do percent proportions, we always use the phrases of part and total. We know that in a percent, 100% is the total. Our part of our percent would be 25%. Now, we know that there are 1,200 pennies. Is that our part of how many pennies we have, or is that our total? If you guess total, you're correct. 1,200 is our total. So from here, what we would do would be you multiply these two numbers, and we kind of ignore the percent. Okay, we're not going to turn that into a decimal and multiply. We're just going to multiply 1,200 times 25 and divide by 100, and that would give you this missing piece right here. I also know that 25% means 1/4. So I could take 1,200 and divide by 4, and I can do that in my head. That is easy mental math for me because 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 1,200 divided by 4 is 300. So what I know now is before 1980, I have 300 pennies. The other information we want to find out is what would be 35% of our pennies. So our setup is going to be very similar to this setup where we have part, total, and instead of 25%, we're going to find 35%. So 1,200 times 35, and then divide that by 100. And one shortcut that I see is that if I'm going to be multiplying these two numbers and then dividing by 100, what I could actually do is go ahead and divide 1200 by 100 and get 12 and just multiply 12 times 35. That will give me the actual answer. So I'm kind of working ahead to get that answer. So you can see I'm multiplying here. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. I'm done with the ones place, so I'm going to give a placeholder there. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 1 is 3. And I end up with 420. So there's 420 pennies that fall in that middle range. So between 1980 and 2000, that should say 2000. So from 1980 to 2000, you have 420 pennies. One thing you should notice is that 300, which is 25%, is less than 35%. 300 is less than 420, so that makes sense. And it says the rest of them are dated after 2000. Thank you, Laisha. Will you set it back over here?
I need it all ready.
Yeah, I need it ready. I gotta get going as soon as these kids come in. Okay, so the rest of them are after 2000. What is my plan from this point? I know that my total collection is 1200. I'm taking out those 300. I'm taking out those 420. I'm trying to figure out what is left over. So talk to a table partner. How do you find out what is left over? What you should have realized is that you are going to subtract. So our plan and you can write that in your plan that you are going to subtract. We are doing 1200 minus 300 minus 420. Now, when we solve, if I'm going to estimate, I could do 1200 minus 300 minus 400, which is about 500. Okay. When I actually do that math, I could add up 300 and 420. That would equal 720. And subtract that. Good morning. And so once you actually solve that out, you would get an answer of 480, which is close to our estimate. All right. All right, so for the second problem today, it says Caitlin got blank questions correct out of a total of blank. What was the percentage that she got correct? So when I am looking at this problem, I do understand that we are going to be setting up a proportion, and it is going to involve percentages. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this. So that we can write on this here. Again, we're working with percentages and proportions. So that already tells me that my units are going to be part and total. My total percentage is 100%. I can see here just by reading it, we're going to have a part that she got correct out of a total of how many questions. So let's go back and see what our actual numbers are. She got 30 out of 35. Neither one of those are percentages. So neither one of these are going to be a part of a percentage. They're going to be a part of a number and a total number. From here, you would cross multiply and divide. If you want to estimate your work, mental math, I know that 1 times 3 is 3, and I have 3 zeros, so that would be 3,000. divided by, I could make this easy here and turn this to 30. And I know that it goes in about 100 times. The problem is that would mean that my test, I would get 100%. It looks like that Kaylin is close to getting 100%, but she's not quite there. So we need to do the actual solving in order to get our exact answer. 35 goes into 30 0 times. 35 goes into 300. I'm not sure. So here's a strategy that you can use when you're dividing. You can make a multiples list. 35, 70, 105, 140, 175, 210. Okay, we're getting closer to 300 here. See that? Then we have, give me just a second, 280. It looks like that's all it goes in. So it goes into 300. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. 8 times 35 is 280. So you could use your multiples list to get your answers there too. 35 goes into 200. 5 times, which is 175. I'm running out of room here. 250, it goes in 6 times. So she got about 85.6. If we were rounding and we gave her a numerical grade, it would be 86. Thank you guys. I hope y'all have an awesome day. Bye-bye.